This is Si Wing Yi, and today's topic, I'm going to go over the state of Florida housing market update year to date, month to date, January 2023, using the Florida Association of Realtors as, as my information. So without further ado, this is a very important and exciting information. I know a lot of people, they love to hear about comparison between year over year. Some of this comparison is somewhat misleading. I'm going to go over it because that's what this data point shows on this report by the Florida Association of Realtor. And of course, I'm going to go over the changes year over year from January 2022 and January 2023. This is, again, this latest reporting. Just so you know, I don't want you guys to overanalyze or thinking something's really, the numeric change is very significant. Well, you must understand, January 2022 is a very exploding fast market nationwide, not just in Florida, because we are still at a point in January 22 and prior, in fact, prior to the summer of 2022, around June, July, January 22, the interest rate were like 3.54%. We're still seeing a very robust housing market all over the country and in Florida. We are seeing bidding wars and multiple offers. We're seeing 20, 30% above asking. So when I compare, I'm really very reluctant to go through the comparison, but I'm going to do it anyway, just so you know that last year, January 22, again, is an anomaly, meaning it is a unique marketplace a year ago, a year and a half ago. Without further ado, let me go ahead and do my comparison anyway. Then I'm going to recap it toward the end about my take about the Florida housing market. And I'm going to go through some specific areas of Florida. I will provide you with my recommendations as to what area, in my opinion, to strike, what submarket in Florida. You could make your informed decision accordingly, whether you are a real estate investor or whether you are a primary home buyer want to move in to some of these areas. And suffice to say, my business is such that I help real estate investors to buy turnkey cash flow homes in many markets in the U.S. and in Florida in particular. I've been doing it for the past 20 years. Although I'm not a local expert in the Florida housing market, but I have a team of local realtors that I work with for many years in the specific regions of Florida, which I will share with you what are those locations. So I have a very high level, big picture understanding on certain submarkets because our investors have purchased in those submarkets in Florida for the past 20 years. So I've seen the up and down cycle. I'll give you some real life experience as to what's going on in the Florida housing market. So without further ado, let's go over the summary of statistics, market, and monthly market detail, January 2023, single family homes in Florida and statewide. So closed sales. So again, I'm going through the year over year from January 2022 to January 2023, the latest data. I know right now we are already in the almost in the middle of March 2023. So the next report you're going to get is a lagging indicator. It's almost 2 months lagging indicator. So that's how we can do. Closed sales year over year, 14,766 for Florida, and which is 32% less closed sales compared to January 2022. Ever since the summer of 2022, we have seen the interest rate has spiked quite significantly from 3 to 4% in the first half of 2022. And then the second half of 2023, we have seen mortgage rate have spiked up all the way to the low sevens back in October 2023, 7.3% in October 2022. Then the following few months, for the next 4 months, including up until February 2023, we have seen mortgage rate decrease to as low as 5.99% in February the 2nd, 2023. Now, in a mere 1 month later, in the middle of March, the mortgage rate is around right now 7%. So the volatility of the mortgage rate is just very troubling to a lot of people. That's what it is, and we'll see. Remains to be seen This past year, there were 4,673 transactions that were paid in cash as compared to 7,269, which is again down by 35%. So still a good number of transactions in cash. So I would say the entire past year is pretty robust, even though we have seen some volatility. Median price we said this past year is 389, which is higher than the previous year, 375. So we have a change year over year. Average sales price is much more relevant than the median sales price. So this is a better number. The average sales price is 558, little more than a $500,000 average sales price for home this past year compared to 530. So the previous year, so really 5.2% growth of average sales price is not too shabby. And dollar volume, again, there were less transactions because of the decrease in demand as a result of the higher interest rate. So we have less transactions throughout the past 6 to 8 months. So year over year, 29% less volume, dollar volume transaction. Again, this is not a good comparison because during the peak of 2022, the early part, we have seen 14 days medium time to contract, to entering a contract. And then this past year, 40 days, really 40 days is a normal time on a historical basis. That's pre-pandemic data. New pending sales compared to last year is almost 23,000. The previous year was 28,000. So there were 20% less pending sales year over year. So that's concerning. New listings, similar, level slightly lower. New listings, 26,416. Current, the past year, 2022 versus the previous year, just a little bit more. So pending inventory is a lot less pending inventory this past year, 32,000, as opposed to previous year, 44,000. So around 20, almost 27% less pending inventory. And active listings, there are more active listings this past year, 2022, than 2021, 65,000 from 27,000. So we're talking 134% more in active listings. Now, this 65,000 seems like a huge jump in active listings. However, you have to analyze that the demand has subsided greatly. Demand has decreased. The demand for homes has decreased as a result of the sudden rise of the interest rate that put a lot of potential buyers on the sidelines in the past 8 months. So that's why, even though you have 134% increase in active listings, but the demand is much lower in the past 8 months. So therefore, 65,000, if you look at from a historical basis, is still pretty normal before the pandemic, pre-pandemic. So nothing, you can't use these numbers, 134% increase in active listings to 65,000 this past year. You can't say that we have abundance of supply, which is not the case. It still is a very low amount of inventory. So, and these two numbers pretty much reflect that. Now, the monthly supply, 5 to 6 months is a normal market, is an equilibrium market whereby supply equals demand. But anything less than 5 to 6 months is a seller's market. So there's a less supply than available demand. But you look at 1 month of supply 2 years ago, there's a historical low. We have never seen that in history. That's a unique housing market 2 years ago. So this past year, a month's supply of inventory at only 2.8%. We're talking very low inventory right now. And the data, the trend, we're moving towards less supply of inventory, especially the mortgage rate continue to be where it is now, around the high 6 or up to the 7% as per today's date. Everything is trending down. I'm able to believe that we have some real challenges ahead, not only in Florida, but throughout the nation as well. There are 1,000 people moving to Florida every day. Do the math. 1,000 people multiplied by 365 days. We're talking like 365,000 people. That is huge. Florida is the fastest growing state in the country. the post-pandemic, the new normal, people are still migrating into Florida from the Northeast, New York State, New York City, the Tri-State area, the Northeast, huge population migration. People from the Midwest, Chicago area also coming to Florida. Of course, people from California and the Western region, people are fleeing the West Coast areas to come to Florida for a lot of reasons. So you have to understand the big picture. Yeah, right now, Florida going through a slight correction housing-wise, but nothing close to the other areas of the country. As a matter of fact, there are prices these past 9 months, Central Florida has been holding up very well compared to other boom the bust market in other areas of the country, such as Las Vegas, Phoenix, Boise, Austin, Texas, and in California. So that's a very interesting data that you need to understand. So I see, because I know the market very well, I know Florida very well. We have hundreds of investors that purchase in Florida. We have a team located in Florida, especially in Southwest Florida and also Central Florida. So we have seen, I get updated from my local team here in Florida to apprise me of what's going on, in the local submarkets, hyper local areas. To recap this monthly market detail, as you can see clearly, there's a 4% medium sales price increase, 4% year over year to 389. So still is doing well. The Central Florida doing well. Momentarily, I'm going to talk about the submarket. I'm going to skip some of these supporting charts, and I'm going to get to the nitty gritty momentarily. Sales has been down. Pending sales has been down. That's pretty consistent with the national average, but the prices have not gone down, okay, because of the 2.8% supply of inventory versus the available demand. So I feel, give you a recap momentarily. So yeah, as you can see, the monthly supplies of inventory is a very important trend. It's a very important data point that you need to understand, that all of us need to understand. And at the end of the year, at 2.8% monthly supply, which is extremely low, and it's going to get lower because of the higher interest rate. It'll put more people on the sidelines. Now, here's some very interesting numbers. I like these breakdowns, so you need to pay attention. I've been promoting, like I said, investment homes for our investors for more than 2 decades. I've seen some very consistent price growth over the years, and I'm quite excited to see the consistent growth of housing prices over the years. Now, to a point where, look at the most desirable homes right here, where the transaction have occurred the most, is right in the middle, right in the entry-level type of homes. We're talking anywhere from 200 to 400,000. These price ranges are the most desirable or the most competitive. As you can see, 200 to 249K this past year, closed sales are almost 1,000. And then 250K to 300K, 1,600 homes that were closed sale. I know it's less than the previous year, which is pretty normal percent year over year change. Then 300 to 399, there were 4,200 closed transactions. Now, if you are a savvy risk investors, and of course, my investors are savvy because I educate them quite consistently. We target, as investors, we target this middle range. We target the 300 to 400, right here, the 250 to 400K range. That is what investors can still get cash flow in certain submarkets in Florida. If you're primary home buyers, whatever you can afford, based on what you can qualify for, you're also targeting this kind of entry-level homes on these price ranges. Of course, Florida, especially in South Florida, Miami, we have some super wealthy people. The influx of people with tons of money, they are buying this luxury home. Home has really has increased dramatically. Homes are above $1 million, already 2,000 transactions last year. Homes are luxury homes, way more than $1 million. Is 1,000 transactions. So this kind of data continuing to increase, and the interest rate, the market interest rate, compared to all the other 49 states, are not impacting the buyers coming to Florida, whether they are primary home buyers or whether they are investors. We have seen massive influx of people that are penetrating Florida, not just now, but a long time to come, even in spite of this challenging interest rate environment. Let me briefly go over any kind of stress market. I'm not going to go over too much of it because it's really not relevant. 2,000 transactions that occurred this past year, only 95 of those homes were in foreclosure, and only 26 of those homes were in short sale. We're talking less than 1%. We're talking less than half of 1% of Florida homes are in distress. That pretty much concludes this area of the report. Now I'm going to conclude the next 10 minutes, which is a very important high level. I'm going to break down the regions of Florida, which also I can give you some recommendations of where in Florida, especially when you are a mom and pop real estate investor, if you have 25% down payment to get financing, you get cash flow. So now it's time to strike, because I'm telling you, according to my information, a lot of these, especially these entry-level homes, the price is not gonna go down. Some of you may not agree. Some of you think there's a real estate crash. I'm not gonna hear discuss any of it. Not only nationwide, I do not believe there's gonna be a real estate crash because of the massive lack of supply of inventory. That's the bottom line. But in Florida, it does not matter because you have 1/3 of the buyers paying for cash. They don't care about the interest rate. Let me go over quickly the specific regions in Florida, which I feel is really moving up. The activity is frenzy. In fact, I could go as far as saying that there are some bidding wars and multiple offers occurring in certain neighborhoods, in certain sub-markets of Florida. I'll recap that a little later on. So my personal favorite, we have a great team available in Cape Coral, Southwest Florida. The median price is already $420K. Inventory is very tight there. The demand is very high. And that's the area that I like. Really up and down Southwest Florida is really robust. Let me show you. Any kind of price or less than 400,000 median price, those are the most desirable. Those are the most competitive pricing. You know why? Because more people can afford this kind of prices. We're talking primary home buyers, people who live in Florida, the locals who live in Florida, they are competing to buy their homes in this price range, the lower than 400K price ranges. And people, with investors, are targeting entry-level homes so they can cash flow, they can collect the rent, pay 25% down payment like our investors are doing to achieve a slight part of the cash flow. And then finally, you have a lot of foreign investors from South America and Central America and other part of the world, in Europe, for example, in UK, Australia. They are also converging toward Florida and buy a lot of these homes. In fact, there are some investment loan programs available for foreign nationals so they can leverage their purchases. So instead of buying all cash, buying one property, a foreign national, instead of buying like a single one home for Miami, for example, for $555,000 or cash, which they have the money, but what if they can get a 50% down payment on a loan, investment loan, they can buy two. So they are competing, the foreign nationals are competing against you guys, especially for entry-level homes. Then we're not going to forget the corporate, the Wall Street, the hedge funds. They're also re-entering the market as we speak. So there's a lot of competition for entry-level homes, okay? And the supply of inventory is so low, so you might as well say the current interest rate does not matter, even at 7%. Cape Coral, 420K price, which I like. Jacksonville has been growing very fast. The median price is 370K. Lakeland, part of Central Florida, is doing well, 324K. Miami, it's a super high end. The median price is only 550K, but average price is way more than 555K. This is the playground of the rich. This is the Wall Street people, the New York, the wealthy elite is bombarding South Florida, the Gold Coast, not just Miami, but all over 100-mile radius of the Atlantic coast of Southeast Florida. They call it the Silicon Valley of the Southeast, Miami. Huge money is coming there. If you're a mom and pop, real estate investor, first time, primary homeowner, whoever you are, stay away from South Florida because you cannot compete in that market. Orlando has been doing very well over the years. We have many investors have been buying Orlando. They have gone down to a slight correction these past 4 months, like many other markets, but they're bound to rebound. They can rebound. And then Punta Gorda, Southwest Florida, Cape Coral, all over Southwest Florida is doing extremely well. Punta Gorda, and so Tampa is part of the Southwest Florida region. Is doing very well. Villages, Central Florida, and Southwest Florida is doing very well because the median price of homes is around $400K. So good price ranges. Again, don't think that the market is paralyzed. The savvy people, because of the influx of people, continual remote work, continual migration, everybody want to come down to Florida for very good reasons. Sun Belt, retirees, everybody, millennials coming here. There's not enough homes to sell. I'm telling you, right now, as we speak, March 2023, if you're sitting on the sidelines, you're going to regret it because when and if the mortgage rate comes back down from 7% to 6%, you're going to see some real market frenzy, real transactions. You can see some sellers perhaps are more motivated to sell their homes because most of the sellers, they're locked in at the historical interest rate. There's no way they can get rid of their 3% historic mortgage, to move up to buy a home with 7% mortgage. There's no way. So supply is really limited. Right now, there's not that much competition. Right now is the best time to strike because the rental market is very strong. There are a lot of renters. There are a lot of people moving to Florida that are not ready to buy yet for a lot of reasons. They have a lot of money to pay you rent. As a landlord, you can really make a killing right now when there's very little competition. But don't wait until the rest of the population get the signal. Then you can follow the herd mentality. So don't react to the market. You got to get up front of the market. It's March 2023. So I could be wrong, but I document all my videos. I'm going to come back to this video. The recap is entry-level homes is very limited. The builders, they have only few remaining new construction homes. They'll give me some new incentives. But we're giving some savvy buyers all over the country, all over the world, are converging to Florida, especially still reasonable price homes in Southwest Florida and Central Florida. You could be paralyzed, whatever you are, and stay in the sideline thinking the market is going to crash. Well, you're going to be waiting for a long time. And you're delusional if you think you can time the market. And not in Florida, not in the sub-markets that we just talked about. It's just no way. The demand's too high, the future is too bright, and all the data, all the trends clearly indicate, especially the entry-level sub-markets in Central Florida and Southwest Florida, is going to rebound much faster than you think. That's my takeaway for you. Take action now before everybody else jump in a few months. Who knows when the interest rate goes below 7%, even 6%, lower than 6%, you can have some bidding wars and multiple offers. Not similar. You're not going to see anything close to 2021 when the interest rate were 3%, when there are 100, 200 offers per property. You're not going to see that again. But get in front of the crowd, get in early, get in front of the curve before everyone else. Strike now, and then once the positive data comes in later this year or beyond, then you'll be sitting pretty because you have done the foundational work. You have taken action now already. Thank you so much. Again, if you're a real estate investor, buy casual properties, run the numbers, work with a reputable team on the ground, which we have, and you're a primary homeowner that want to move in here, buy a home, you can reach out to me as well. We have local team available in Central Florida, in Southwest Florida. They can help you find a home to live as an owner-occupied buyer, or if you're investors from out of state, including our members that we work with already. Right now is the best time to strike because if you don't, you might regret it. I'm telling you. Thank you so much. This is Siwei Yi. Thanks for listening. I'll see you on the next video. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.